So without further ado, let me introduce our speakers for this session, Greece's strategy to accelerate investment. Nikos Papathanasis, alternate Minister of the National Economy and Finance of Greece. Welcome. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you very much.
And please take a seat. Ioannis Tsakiris, Vice President of the European Investment Bank. Welcome, sir. Lampros Papakonstantinou, Chairman of Ideal Holdings. Welcome. Great to have you with us. Nice to see you. And Rade Ljumović, Managing Partner, Office Head, Montenegro and Greece, Henley Partners. Welcome, Rade. Okay, as I say, we're not going to waste any time here. We've got a bit less than 40 minutes now. I understand you've got to leave, Minister, at 12:20, so we're not going to stop you. So I'm handing straight over. Everybody's got 5 minutes, and then we've got time for a bit of Q&A. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here in Economist to discuss about growth, about the economy of Greece. And at the same time, don't forget that Greece was named by The Economist Country of the Year. So it is very important to see what has changed the last 5 years and what was said and what was done. So what happened during the last 5 years? We've tried to change the business environment in Greece. We had to gain all what we had lost during the crisis. Investment grade, we succeeded in doing so. Greece is a different country. And of course, the growth that we've experienced during the last years, and especially 2023, is about 4 times the growth of the average European growth. So the expectations are very high. At the same time, we cannot say that we have come into a normal operation as a country, because you cannot say that the country is absolutely back to normal operation when it has 160% debt to GDP, but at the same time, we are the country with the highest decrease of debt to GDP, primary surplus, growth prospect for 2024 that is about in the region of 2.5%, when Europe will not be expecting something more than 0.8%. And at the same time, we have done a structural change in the operation of the government, where we collected all the European funds and then national funds at one location, so we can schedule and organize much better the operation and the influx and the absorption of the funds into the economy, and of course to support cohesion, businesses, environmental issues, etc. So what we have now, we have 36 billion euros of RRF, 26 billion euros of partnership agreement, 21-27, and if you add the Common Agricultural Pact, which is 19 billion euros, that amount, the total goes up to 81 to 82 billion euros, and if you divide by the GDP of the country, that it's at the range of 220 billion euros, you see the high impact that these funds have in the economic environment of Greece. So RRF is a fund that approximately amounts to 36 billion euros in 2 pillars, the pillar of the grants and the pillar of the loans. Of course, servicing the basic strategy that we have, which follows the digital transition, green transition, skilling, upskilling, reskilling. It's very important, and supporting the competitiveness, a very important issue of the companies. Don't forget, we live in the European Union, where the basis is the single market. The single market demands the cohesion. You cannot have a single market without a cohesion policy, and at the same time, you cannot have a cohesion policy without a convergence, and especially territorial convergence. So the whole pact of actions that we follow during the last 2 to 3 years, where the RRF has started, is to follow exactly our principles and our goals of digital and green transition. And of course, that goes directly not only to the economy, but to the health sector, to the educational sector, to the judicial sector, servicing reforms that we have started right from the beginning in 2019, and of course, creating jobs. We are a reformist government. We're not going to stop to operate in a reformist environment, and we believe that we will keep this and having ahead of us, Joan, the new structural plan that comes. It's a fiscal obligation that we have, all the member states, that we have to actually follow for the next 4 years. We have to be very careful when it comes down to the expenses of the state, when it comes down to the primary surplus, and of course, we have to support our decrease of the debt to GDP. So in that sense, we are on track. Greece is back, and we will follow exactly the strategy we have, growth, and at the same time, all the social cohesion programs that we believe support the economy and the people.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's got us off to a really good start and absolutely on time. So thanks for that. So I'm going to pick up on some of the things you said, but I think in the interest of our timing, I'm going to follow on with the panel, and then we'll have our discussion. So Mr. Tsakiris, next.
So, dear John, thank you very much for inviting me in this very interesting panel. It's a great honor. I represent the European Investment Bank, and I have to say that I fully subscribe. I oversubscribe to what Minister Papathanasis said. And if you see it from another perspective, we all know how difficult it is to turn around a company. We managed, because I had the honor to be part of the government, we managed to turn around the country. And the prospects of Greece are very great ahead of us. Stability in the financial market is already there. Trust of the investors is already there. Reforms are taking place. And coupled with the significant European resources that they're coming, this will help to further strengthen and magnify the economy. So when it comes to the European Investment Bank, we are, for the last more than 30 years, working side by side with the Greek economy. Last year, we financed around 2.5 billion euros, which is something of 1.2% of the GDP of the country. And as we are also considering European funds, together with the RRF and the structural funds, we act under our policies and the strategy of the national governments. We act towards creating an economy which is along the lines of the European priorities, which is a resilient and green economy. And talking about Greece, we have financed several projects in this sector, particularly in the public, but also in the private sector. A very recent example is a 400 million euro loan that we have provided to the company Melton, previously Mytilineos, to expand the production and storage of renewable energies. Our second priority is the technology. We are financing technology together with member states. For example, here in Greece, alongside with the Ministry of National Economy and Finance, we have set up, and soon is going to be up and running, a 200 million equity financing for venture capital and private equity firms to invest in turn in healthcare, startups and high growth companies. We are standing side by side in the agricultural sector, particularly when it comes to the next, I would say, challenge that global economy will face, which will be the food security. So we have provided, for example, 80 million for irrigation improvements. It is well known that Greece is lagging for the time being, is lagging behind when it comes to management of water. And given that we're located in the south, this year after year will be worsened. Last but not least, and it's very recent, European Investment Bank has been asked, and we will very happily do it, to finance investments in the defense area when it comes to the European Union. It's something very new for us, but on the other hand, very useful for Europe. A few days ago, I signed a loan of 110 million euro for a Danish port in the north of Denmark that, a part of its commercial use, it will also be used from NATO boats and ships, so that to give a better access when this will be needed for security purposes. Now, all in all, this is what the EIB is doing, is acting complementary to its national government when it comes to financing a competitive and resilient economy. Allow me to say that it's not only about competitive economy or grow the economy. The most important thing, and it was been proven during the pandemic, is a resilient economy. And I would like to close this short intervention also mentioning what Minister Papathanasis said about the single market. Single market is the ultimate target that we should aim for. And it's not only when it comes to capital market union, it has to do with energy, it has to do with telecoms, and it has to do with defense. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks very much indeed. And again, for sticking to time as well. So next up, we have Mr. Papakonstantinou, and it's very good to have somebody from the private sector to give their perspective.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to be here with people that I know, both the alternate minister and Mr. Tsakiris, who was also in the previous government as Deputy Minister of Development.
Yeah, maybe can we have the mic up a bit, please? Oh, it fell off. Here, we've got some help.
Okay, apologies for that. So I'll go very briefly. I come, as you said, from the private sector, and I come from the investment side. We had a private equity firm, and through that we acquired a business, a company listed on the Athens Exchange, and through that we do investments. So actually, we are the ones to invest. And the truth is that we came and we started this saga back in 21 because we've seen what the minister said, that actually that Greece was changing. And it's true that Greece, with the government of the Prime Minister Mitsotakis, that they started to change the way they look into investments and the way to attract private capital. Because I think apart from the public capital, the RRFs, and whatever other capital is allocated to Greece, obviously you need the private capital, because through that, without that, there's no growth. I think it's pretty clear that the government really has a strategy. And there's a clear message that was given to all investors that they should come to Greece, invest. And this makes sense for us as well, because we understand that there is growth. We understand that we are welcomed, which is the most important. We understand that things are changing, and there's a strategy. However, the most important is you have always to get better, because otherwise you don't progress. So the idea, what is next? Because you have always the structural funds coming from the European Union, but you should also have the political will to make investments work. So I think what, from my side, the way we see it, is that the government should stick to the, and I think that was the message as well as the Prime Minister said on Monday. That was clearly the message from the latest elections, that the government should stick to its restructuring program, which means that they should change the Greek economy and they should change the Greek society. Because it's very important for an investor to understand that the legal system works. If you invest, you don't want to get messed in the situation where the trials, whatever, all will end up after 7 years or 8 years, and you're not going to get a decision. You should know that the tax system works, that there are laws, and those laws do not have they don't work retrospectively. You cannot invest in 21 and someone tells you, yes, but you have to pay taxes related to 2020. So I think this is most important. Apart from that, I would say what also makes sense is for the government to continue its structural reforms, because these are going to change the system. And also, what we want from our side is we don't have subsidies are not so important. Because, or even, you know, sometimes people say that in Greece you have high taxes, or I don't know what, you know, corporate taxes. They're not high. At 22%, I would say they're fine, in line with many European countries. What makes sense, however, is to have a clear taxation system. And you know that the rules are there. On the other side, I talked about subsidies minutes ago. What I was saying is that subsidies are always a key to invest. However, it's not important. It's most important if you get incentives. I would welcome more an incentive which basically gives us, you know, a tax incentive through an M&A than saying that I give you €1 if you invest and you buy machinery, which is okay. You buy the machinery, then it's gone. But if you give me a tax incentive for an M&A, that works much better. The problem with the Greek economy, you know, with most of the Greek companies is that they're very small in size, and they should grow. So, to finalize my comments, the truth is Greece has a strategy. Really, there is a strategy to invest, but they would do more. The government should do more on the legal and the tax system. That's my point. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you. Very clear message there, which we're going to come back to in the discussion. Rade Ljumović, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Joan, and I hope you hear me now. So thanks for the wonderful opportunity, and I learned about Greece and Greek economy a lot today. I'm coming from the company called Henley Partners. We are the global leaders in residence and citizenship by investment in the world. We have a very active office in Greece, and I believe that you are familiar with the Golden Visa program in Greece. I will try to give a little bit of the global perspective, what is happening in our industry overall, because it will definitely influence the Greece, and it can, I hope, inspire or provocate you to think additionally about investment migration as a potential for the growing of the economy of the Greece. Maybe you know for some of our products, if you don't know for us, Henley Passport Index shows that top 3 strongest passports in the world are Singapore, France, and Germany, and 5 wealthiest cities in the world are New York, the Bay Area in California, Tokyo, Singapore, and London. So the way Henley Partners operates, it's mostly in an academic way. We work with a lot of governments, and we raised about 12 billion euros to help governments regarding program of citizenship and residence in the world. What is happening in the world of investment migration? It's very interesting. The markets that are now in the last 2-3 years, the most interesting are actually USA and Latin America. And most of our clients and applicants are coming from that area. You won't be surprised when I tell you that time of COVID and an unfortunate war between Russia and Ukraine brought a lot of interest for our industry. So because I'm covering the role of the government advisor in our company regarding countries of Southeastern Europe, I can tell to the minister and to the panel that all countries of Southeast Europe basically are working on these kind of models. A lot of them are thinking, like Portugal introduced recently, investment funds which doesn't need necessarily to be in the country of origin, but it can be in the reputable country of the EU, but are dedicated to invest in the Greece, for this example. And of course, I was carefully listening to the minister and other panelists about the sectors that you are interested in to invest. All the programs can be modified in a way that the investors, applicants invest actually in the part of the economy that the government wants to do so. To give a little bit of parameters, the most successful program in the world is Malta program regarding citizenship. So they don't give up. It's a strong, small country. So they collected before COVID 1 billion euros. It saved their economy in a way, the citizenship program. When I say these programs, these are programs that have a strong due diligence component by external providers. I come originally from Montenegro. I'm Montenegrin. I hope some of you visited. If you didn't, I always use opportunity to visit. It's a very interesting country. I enjoy to come to Greece. It's a beautiful country, but Montenegro also have some advantages. We had very successful citizenship program in Montenegro. So let me tell you that we gather 1,000 applicants all over the world. Ex-Soviet Union, of course, but then a lot of Americans, South Africa, Australia, you would be surprised. We collected 500 million euros for the country in just 2 years, and our annual budget is 2.4 billion in Montenegro. So in 2022, 25% of our GDP growth was related to this, and about 20 new hotels in rural area are built to help to this. So as a final message, I hope and I wish the Greece will continue with this program. We have some now changes implemented. We have higher bars for the real estate, but also we hope and we are ready, of course, and happy to work with the government in some maybe different models which would introduce investment funds and especially sectors of environment, agriculture, and things that you would like to expand further. As a final message, I can tell you that countries without proactive investment migration strategies will find themselves increasing disadvantage in the global world that we are living in. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks all of you. So we've got about 12 minutes to your deadline of 12:20. So I think we've covered all kinds of investment here, which we do want to talk about all aspects of the investment environment, the EU funds, structural funds, and government public investment program, the official funding from EIB and so on, and very important not to neglect, obviously, the private sector, both domestic and foreign direct investors. But I wanted to ask you, first of all, Minister, I'm sure you want to come back on some of these points. We're 3 years into the RRF program. There's 2 years to go. It ends in August 2026. As of now, in terms of what's been dispersed, both in grants and loans, Greece started very, very well, and we're now not quite halfway in terms of disbursement. So I just wanted to ask you, how will we accelerate this absorption and disbursement of the loans, and how is the government measuring and evaluating the impact and what comes after that. And then maybe we can move on to the question of structural reform and deregulation, which has been posed. So over to you.
So what's the time I have, Joan?
Yeah, you have. I'm saying you have to be fast.
What is it?
Yes.
3 minutes. Okay, let me go a little bit fast, and I'll get back to you because I would disagree. We are in the middle of the RRF, and according to our fourth installment, we have received up to now 14.9 billion euros, and we've requested, and we have already passed the grant permission, and just yesterday the targeted revision, and we'll get approximately 3.3 billion euros. That brings it up to 18 point something. That's 50%, and it places Greece again in the first 3 positions in Europe with respect to the payment installments. So we are doing, I would say, quite good in that aspect. So with Ioannis, we have an EIB, we have a great collaboration. Actually, we work on many projects. You know, we have to work on investments and the investment gap because we had, you know, 3 memorandums, very severe crisis. We've lost 25% of our GDP. Therefore, it's very important to have the assistance of EIB and to support and maybe partially grant some of our projects, according, of course, to the regulation. So we are working on that, and I think we have a great future together. Although Ioannis is a member of the success story of the previous government because he had under his auspices the structural funds. Lampros, I think this is the quest. This is what the people said in the last election. We have to get back on business, and of course, we have to continue our structural reforms because this is what it's all about. This is what this government is all about. It's a reformist government. We know we have to create an even better environment. We have to cut down on red tape and bureaucracy. It is a beast. If one says that we've resolved the problem, it's not true. We've gone a long way. Up till now, we have a long way to go. And of course, the investment gap, and we have to work on other things, on VAT gap and tax evasion. And all this is what we are doing. But with Mr. Argyru there, Mr. Tsakiris there, they know very well, and I think they will speak about the new fiscal structural plan and the obligations of the country, and I think we have to be very careful. What I would say, Joan, is everybody should feel very comfortable that this country will remain on path. And as you know, 7 countries went under the EDP, excessive debt procedure, 7 European countries. We cannot afford something like that, so we're very careful. We've learned, we're very good students, I would say, because of the crisis, and we'll not let things go other than being fiscal proper in all our scheduling and what we do with the country. And of course, Rade, we need more investments. We have schemes. We have the non-dome scheme, which includes an investment, and of course we have the golden visa that because of the social problem that created in the center, in the centers, we've increased the amount of money requested. We need more investment from people that come in, but we do have a scheme, and especially we reduce 50% the taxes for people that want to come and live in the country. So coming back to you, Joan, I would say that the RRF is, we are one of the first countries, and we are now preparing the first installment request, which is going to be done in October. We've completed our milestones. We have completed milestones more than the average European countries. And of course, take into consideration that we do have a delay in the judicial system. Our judicial system operates on 1,500 days, where the European average is 600 days. We passed a bill now, we passed a law now that this will reduce it by 35%. We still have work to do on that. And also we have to do work on our public procurement law. But at the same time, even with those parameters, we still remain on path on RRF, and we will still remain on path because we want to be ahead, since the discussions for the next day will open, and RRF is a performance-based fund plan. We want to show that we can do everything well, and also to show that we've learned, and we are a country that everybody could depend on. The investment environment will keep on becoming better. And of course, all the investors and all the global community could trust Greece. Greece will never allow things to go out of track. And Kyriakos Mitsotakis is very strict on us. So it's a great country to come and invest.
Thanks, Minister. And Greece, of course, did do its preparations ahead of everybody else and got ahead of everybody else and still remains at the front. Yeah, with Italy, I think Italy and Greece are, the front runners in this respect. So just good to get an update on that. At the very beginning, the government also made an assessment of what might be the impact in terms of GDP growth of these funds. Is that something that the government is monitoring and trying to evaluate? Because that's always very important, whether it's FDI or the use of structural funds, to see what the impact is, whether it really is paying off in the way that the government envisaged.
Okay, since you mentioned FDI, we have to say that we have a record high of FDI the last 2 years. It's exactly because of the environment, but you see, I explained to you earlier that 36 billion going into the economy with 220 billion euro GDP. You see that it has a great effect. And it's adding, and it will add more than 2% in the GDP in these years. And we expect it to create, of course, thousands of jobs. Besides that, we have the Hellenic Development Bank that is passing on schemes to the systemic banks in order to support SMEs. It's very important to expand the perimeter of bankable companies. Because of the crisis, about 25% of the companies have access to the banking system. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to give guarantees in order to surpass this problem and have access to the banking system. We need more companies to operate in order to be viable, and of course in order to be able to absorb all this money in the economy. So this is what we're doing through the Hellenic Development Bank, and with the assistance of the structural funds and the RRF, we are trying to guarantee the loans of the banks, and at the same time to give incentives and decrease the interest rate, so the companies could enter the banking system, and of course that they could serve their business plan. So in that sense, we are working. We need more companies. It's very important. Greece and all this money that are coming into the economy need more businesses to operate.
Thank you very much, Minister. So I want to give all of you time to come back in, because we're it's gone so fast. It's been great, but maybe in reverse order, Rade, just to come to you, in terms of your business model and your involvement here. That's been over some time. Given some of the things that have had to change because of the impact of rising real estate prices and rents and so on in the centre, is that going to affect your approach in any way? And obviously the EU is also trying to regulate more in this area in terms of golden visas. Is that going to have an impact on you, or are you confident that this is a growth area?
We are very confident regarding the Greece especially. We see as I said, listening what the gentlemen were saying, and I see positive news in the Greece because I coming here regularly. We see the bigger demand for Greece every year. So every year our numbers are double. So I'm very confident even with this raise. Of course, it will eliminate some of the applicants, but the interest is there. To repeat my message from the beginning, you always need to rethink and to follow the market. I think the winners will be governments, as Minister mentioned, that they monitor what the others are doing. I think we can help in that support because you need to see that there is also a market on this side, as you know. So the applicants are going where are the best. And don't forget that these people are not only bringing finances, but enormous talent to the country. So.
Thanks. So Lampros, you really emphasize the need for the government to keep on with this structural reform agenda, and you particularly mentioned, efforts to speed up the judicial process, which government obviously has taken steps to do that, including earlier this year, to have predictability in the tax system, reduce red tape. What would you say is that, from your point of view, would be make the biggest difference?
Yeah, as explained before, the government is on the right track. What the minister says is totally correct. And actually, he's a very successful one. And you have someone who's really working for that. It's true. I think they should stick to their program. They should forget whatever sirens are around and singing and say songs. And they should stick to that because that's the only way they're going to win the elections again. And they're going to bring back confidence to the investors, which is very important. Because if the money flows, the economy counts, and this is what counts to the public when it goes to the polls. That's it.
Okay, thanks. So Ioannis, final word from you. You've really emphasized this complementarity between what you're doing and the government program and the use of these funds. Are there any areas that you've identified kind of beyond those priorities of green transition, technology? You emphasized agriculture, which I think is maybe in some ways a neglected discussion here, but a very important one for Greece. So,
thank you.
Maybe a few more words about that.
Yeah, very quickly before answering to your question, is just to take what Lampros said, that my message would be, reforms, reforms, reforms. That's the only way ahead. Another important message is cohesion, and I will link this to the political situation in Europe, where we see changes, and it's primarily because we need more of cohesion. Less cohesion is a result that, let's say, political forces from the edges are coming up to the surface. Now, when it comes to the complementarity that you asked, and areas that, let's say, they're not evident, I would say there are many. For example, I just mentioned before defense. Something else that we as European bank, investment bank, we are pursuing in a pan-European basis is the concept of affordable housing. In every capital, in every big city throughout Europe, there's a huge problem of rents that citizens cannot afford to pay. So we need to do something, and we're working towards this direction to create a pan-European mechanism to provide for affordable houses. I'm not talking about social housing. Social housing is a small part of it, but affordable housing, let's say, concerns the majority of the citizens. And in Greece, you have it. You have it in Athens with the students. You have it in the islands with the newly recruited employees that rents are even higher than their monthly salary. So that's, for example, an area that it's not evident, but we are working also towards this direction.
Our time is up. So, Minister, unless you're dying to say something, in conclusion, I think you made your points very clearly. Quite a lot of praise here for what the government's doing on the agenda. I'm going to wrap up, unless you want to finish with one or two sentences.
No, well, in resuming or continuing, our work, we will continue with the structural reforms. And of course, I will repeat what I said before, that fiscal stability is very important for Greece. And at the same time, the support enhance competitiveness, support the business environment, change the business environment, and the companies will be continuously in our targets. So this is the message that Greece is a safe country, and of course a country that respects investments and welcomes investments.
Great. Well, please join me in thanking all the panel. Great discussion. Thank you all very much indeed.